Welcome friends to Farm Fresh Designs 59. Are you like me? Do you have too many craft supplies? So today that's what I'm doing. I'm using more of my craft supplies that have just been sitting there and I need to use them up. So this is a tray that I thrifted at a church yard sale. And I actually love these little 4 sections of it. Makes it really easy to put different designs on it. So I start by painting it with Waverly's chalk paint in the color ink. And I'm going to paint just that ridge in the middle, and then I'm going to paint the rest of the tray black. So when I finish that up, I'm so excited because even though I have too many craft supplies, honestly, I bought some more recently because the Rustic paper came out. And I love it, and I loved all these squares. So I'm actually going to be cutting out 3 of them, and they are a lot of the same designs that was in the Christmas masterboard from last year. And I just love this green, and I love these animals and all the neutral colors. Now I cut them out because I'm going to be going back with a water pen later to finish off of the edges and make them look a little bit more natural. Initially, I thought that I would just paint the back of this decoupage paper white, and then it would keep me from having to paint those squares. But I was afraid that that design would come through, and as much as I dreaded painting those squares white, I just kind of bit the bullet and went on and did it. And so I outlined it with the detail brush all around the edges, and then I went back in the center of all of those and painted white. And because that design is pretty strong, it took several coats of white paint to cover it up, but I did want to make sure that it was a really good paint job because I didn't want any of that to come through when I put this Rustic paper down. So my challenge with these squares were that they were not going to actually fit the entire size of those squares that I had just got through painting white. And I did not want just that scissor cut edge. So on all 3 pieces, I used my water pen to make more of that natural torn edge. And then I'm going to be decoupaging it down to those 3 squares. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Myra, and I thank you so much for popping on today. And thank you to all my returning subscribers. I appreciate your support so much. Now, I know that a lot of people who use Rustic paper, they spritz the paper before they put it down. And with these pieces so small, I was just really afraid that I might actually tear some of it. So I just put Mod Podge on the back of it to start it off with, and then I put the rest down by brushing it straight onto that white tray. And then you'll see in just a minute what I do around those edges of paper. And I buy all of my Rustic paper from Susie on the farm, and she has a YouTube channel as well. And I'm sure you all watch her. And she actually just opened up her own storefront. Now, in that last square, I'm going to be using a stamp from the IOD Merry and Bright, which is an older stamp, and it's got some script in it. But when I pull it back, you're going to notice that up at the top on that particular little design, there are 2 like little deer heads on it. And so that was why I chose that particular one. And I believe I used stone gray ink on all of these. Now, I did not use my IOD crackle stamp because it's more of a bigger crackle and I needed something really tiny. So this is just a stamp that I bought off of Amazon. And I'm just kind of stamping that crackle around those edges and just a little bit on the paper as well. And then that gives it that finishing touch. And then I've got this beautiful tray. So what do you think? So friends, if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel and become part of our family. So my next project is just a thrifted frame that was painted a really stark white, and I painted it with Rust-Oleum chiffon cream. And now the paper that I'm using, I've actually had it for a while, and it's also Roycycle paper. And I love the colors in this with these cottage roses. And I'm actually decoupaging it onto one of those flat canvases that are 8 by 10 because I want to put that inside of that frame. And this time I do mist it before I put it down. And then I just use hot glue on the back to kind of hold it in. And actually, when I bought this frame, I think they may not have even used it because the back part even had the little cardboard pieces on the back of it, like it had never even been hung. So this is that beautiful mold that came out this summer, and it's called Persephone. And I painted it once again with that Rust-Oleum chiffon cream, and I made this with resin. And I'm going back with Dixie Belle gold gilding wax all around the edge because I want her to stay fairly simple, because I'm going to be putting that on top of that decoupage paper, and I don't want to take away from the paper at all. And then I add just a little bit more gold gilding wax around the edges, and then kind of to outline different parts of her face, just so that it would all go together. And then I put it on with Titebond Thick and Quick. And then obviously I forgot to film this, but I went back with gold gilding wax and put that on all the details of this frame so that all of it just blends together. But my Miss Persephone, I want her to stand out, and I was afraid that if I put anything else on her, it would just take away from the whole effect. And I just love the way it turned out. So what do you think? But I'm constantly amazed at some of the things that I find in the thrift shop. Like this frame didn't even look like it had ever been used, and it came from the thrift shop, so it was really cheap. And this decoupage paper is so pretty. It just reminds me of something that I might have seen in my grandmother's home with all of those older cottage rose colors, and it just looks so vintage. So my next piece is another thrifted frame, and it has a really heavy crackle finish on it. So it takes me several coats of paint to put this Rust-Oleum chiffon cream on. And then I am going to paint the inside section as well, because I had a different vision for it initially. And it takes me several coats of paint just to get that design up underneath covered up. So this is another Roycycle paper, and I love this one. And actually the big piece of paper that it comes on looks like maybe an Oriental rug, and I think that's what really drew me to it. Now on this outside edge, I want to make a mat out of the outside edge of that paper. And so I have to take the paper and I go on and cut it because I know I'm going to have to trim it down later. And then I miter those corners, and I'm going to let you watch me as I put that all around the edge, mitering the corners, and it works out really well. So I actually made a little boo-boo on it, and when I was rubbing it with my cellophane wrap, I tore a little hole in it. So I just used some scraps of that paper and just tore it until I could get to just a little teeny piece to cover that up. And after it dried all the way, then I went back with an X-Acto knife and cut around the edge. So after it was all said and done, then I picked out, I think it's like a little 5x7 stretch canvas, and I'm going to put that on the inside. And this is the other part of that paper. And this is actually the inside part of this paper. And I want that design to be on that little 5x7 stretch canvas. So I decoupage that on, and then I go and I paint the outside edges with Rust-Oleum chiffon cream, and then I put that right in the center of it. Now this is a resin of the Fleur de Lis IOD mold, and I've just got it taped down, and then I paint it with the Rust-Oleum chiffon cream, and I'm going to glue that with Titebond glue to put right in the middle. And there is a larger Fleur de Lis, but I was afraid that it would take up too much of the design. And then I went back over that with gold gilding wax. So once I finished all that, I was going to leave that finish on the outside edge, but then I thought it made it look kind of dirty, so I went back and painted that again. And then this time I'm going to go in with clay, the DOS air dry clay, and I'm going to make 4 of those little Fleur de Lis molds, and I'm going to put those at each corner of that frame. So I put cornstarch in my mold, I push my clay into it and push it up to the micro rim, and then I use like an old gift card to kind of smooth it out, and then I glue that onto my frame, and then after it's set there for about 10 minutes, then I do go back in with a really soft bristle brush and paint it with that same chiffon cream. And then once all of those are really good and dry, then I go back with the Dixie Belle Gold Gilding Wax over all of them. And I just love this piece. It actually reminds me of an Oriental rug that I already have. And so I'm going to hang it in that room that sort of matches this piece. So what do you think? Now, another option, instead of putting that piece right in the middle, I could have actually just used different pieces of it, and I could have used the IOD frames mold to put right in the center and put a picture in it, but I opted for just the center of the paper. Now, this Roycycle paper is actually, I think, one of the newer pieces, and I like it because it's more masculine. So this is just a little wood piece that I have, and I decoupaged it on that. And then this is the deer that came out in the IOD mold called Invitation Only, and I made it out of resin. And I paint the entire piece with Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. And once it's dry, I go back with the gold gilding wax on it. But when I glue this down, I'm going to glue it down at the very base, because in just a minute, I'm going to punch 2 holes in it on either side, or 1 on either side, because I'm going to be hanging it. And this is that, oh gosh, I can't remember what it's called, but it's just a big hole punch, and it will cut through wood. And I actually thought about using white wax to go over this deer, but I opted not to because I was afraid it would take away from the paper. And then I'll show it to you in just a minute and show you what I hung it on. So my next piece is a really old piece of Roycycle paper, and this is a drawer that came out of my in-laws' house. And I saw something similar to this on Pinterest. And so on this particular paper, I just kind of cut it to fit down at the bottom and around all 4 sides of the inside of the box. And then I just used my little finger sander to go over the edges after that glue has dried really well. And I'm not really sure if these papers actually have a particular name, but this one is an older piece. And instead of using a water pen, I'm actually just cutting it with scissors, knowing that it will be just a little bit too long. But I thought with it needing to be these particular sizes, it would just easier to cut it. And then I put a little bit of paper on either end of the inside of this drawer. And when I saw something similar to this on Pinterest, they actually had it standing up and they had a lot of different things inside of it, but I couldn't make it work, so I just am laying it down. And here is my little invitation-only deer, and this is hanging on a basket with some fall flowers or some fall greenery in it. And then on the inside of this little box, I've just got just a little porcelain bird and a little bird nest that I made. And then I put a little bit of that stuff that you can get at Dollar Tree, the little hula skirts that they, you might think about something you would see in Hawaii. So I just kind of put a little bit of that to kind of mimic having straw inside of there. And then I just pulled out some little sticks from out in the woods, kind of pull it all together. So friends, we are at the end of the video today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that I have inspired you. Today in the comments, let me know which is your favorite. Now, in North Carolina, as I'm doing this voiceover, we have had the hurricane come through. And fortunately, we have power right now, but my internet is really not working, and I'm not sure when it will start working. So I'm hoping this video will come out on Monday. So keep them fingers crossed. And if it does, just to let you know that on tomorrow, on Tuesday, October 1st, you've got the IOD holiday release coming out. So make sure to be checking my channel to see the videos that I have created with different pieces from this holiday collection. And keep watching, because you'll be seeing some more pieces coming out maybe also this week and in the coming weeks, because it is a wonderful collection and I can't wait for you to see all of the different pieces. And I know you'll be really excited to be able to get these. And I will share my affiliate link in those videos to Decoupage Central, where you can purchase all of your IOD products. And also, make sure to be watching me on my Facebook page, which is Farm Fresh Designs, because I do projects on there that you won't see on YouTube, and I do a lot of live videos as well. So it's a good time to interact with each other. So once again, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you hopefully tomorrow on my IOD video.